Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 5:01 p.m. And announce that the board will meet in closed session to address items 1 through 3. Mr. Superintendent, is there any public comment on items 1 through 3?
There are no.
Great. Then I will close the public comment and recess into closed session. All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. Shh. Welcome back, everybody. All right. Good evening and welcome to the Elk Grove Unified School District's board meeting. Live streaming of full in-person board meetings will be available to the public via the Zoom platform. Today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available on the district's YouTube channel. We encourage you to attend the meetings and share your feedback with the board. Your active participation is valued and contributes to the decision-making process. Before we start the full agenda, I want to make a quick statement. Elk Grove Unified is a diverse school district that is committed to the education and safety of all of our students, staff, and families. With many students and families who are recent immigrants to the United States, we recognize that changing immigration policies at the federal level may cause concern for many in our community. Please know we are continuously monitoring these changes and want to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to making our campuses safe and welcoming places where all students, families, and staff feel a sense of belonging, regardless of their immigration status or national origin. Consistent with this commitment, we have adopted Board Policy 5145.13, which governs our response to an immigration enforcement request, protects student information, and limits access to students on school grounds. If you have questions about this policy or the support services we provide, please reach out to your school principal or the Family and Community Engagement Department. All right. Some information on public comment. During regular board meetings, the public may make public comments on items on the agenda or items not on the agenda. Requests to make public comment will be accepted for an item up until the board president introduces the item. Generally, members of the public will be given 3 minutes to address the board. If there are 15 or more comments on a specific item, the board will reduce individual comment time to 2 minutes each. If there are 30 or more comments on a specific item, the board will reduce individual comments to 1 minute each. Individuals may not defer their time to another individual speaker to increase their total speaking time. Please be mindful that district students may be watching. You are encouraged to address the board and the public in a respectful manner, such that all those observing, from children to adults, are made to feel welcome, safe, and valued. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings. Persistent disruption by an individual or group shall be grounds for the board president to provide a warning and then to terminate the individual's privilege of addressing the board. All right. Who has not done? Do you want to do our land acknowledgement?
We acknowledge that the Elk Grove Unified School District administrative facilities and schools occupy the unceded territory of the Miwok, the original people of the skies, land, and waters where we work and learn. The Miwok have cared for these lands since time immemorial. They continue to teach a traditional knowledge that comes from and responds to the needs of the land and people who share it. May our daily lives and work teaching, learning, leadership, and community engagement support the evolving vision of the Miwok for their community and these lands. May we strive to acknowledge the past for the betterment of our future generations. May we look to our tribal partners, the Wilton Rancheria, the descendants of the original people of this land, to assist with the successful education of our community.
Thank you very much. And for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd like to hand it off to Ms. Moore.
Thank you. Tonight, we'll be recognizing Mr. Keith Farrar and Mrs. Tanya Farrar. Sheldon High School is honored to recognize Mr. Keith Farrar and Mrs. Tanya Farrar as our education partners. The Elk Grove Unified School District recognizes the outstanding contributions Mr. and Mrs. Farrar have made to Sheldon High School to support staff and students. The Farrar family has been part of the Sheldon High School community since 2014. Their son, Alec, graduated in 2018, and their daughter, Kira, is currently completing her senior year. Keith is the current president of the Music Boosters. He is also vice chair of the school site council, member of the Sober Grad Committee, and representative on the superintendent's parent advisory committee. Additionally, Keith volunteers at nearly every event at Sheldon, including Sober Grad Night, dances, senior sunrise, and sports events. Keith is known as the donut guy at the football games. He sets up and runs the donut tables, promoting school spirit and camaraderie while fundraising for the band. Tanya is the current secretary of the Music Booster and an avid volunteer at most school events. Keith and Tanya, the staff and students at Sheldon High School and the Elk Grove Unified School District recognize and appreciate your hard work and kind-hearted dedication. Even as your daughter graduates this year, you will always be Sheldon's donut guy.
Evening, everybody. Please rise and feel free to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you for all of your service. We appreciate you. We have this special.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you so much.
That's a little practice for graduation.
Okay, fantastic. You know these are going to stay.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have our student regional report. So, our folks from Sheldon.
Good evening, Board President Vargas, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Anara Jefferson.
And I'm Anicia Garcia.
And we are representing the Sheldon High School region.
Rather than just reporting on our events at Sheldon High School, tonight we will share with you what our entire Sheldon region has been up to. Our elementary school feeders, Maila R. Beitzel, Arthur C. Butler, Robert J. Fite, Mary Tsukamoto Elementary, T.R. Smedbury Middle School, and lastly, Sheldon High School. At this time, we would like to present a video that highlights what has been happening throughout the Sheldon region. A special thanks to our Sheldon teacher and co-producer at Till TV, Mr. Scotty Fernandez, for creating this wonderful video.
We will now hear from each elementary school representative. First up, we have our representatives from Beitzel Elementary.
We love Beitzel because we make Beitzel a second home for students, families, and staff. Beitzel is high-quality instruction. In every classroom there is
active participation,
student talk,
posted objectives and learning targets and success criteria.
Beitzel is student wellness. We are
a bronze, silver, and gold awarded school for our PBIS program.
We are Positive Phone Call Friday, where Mr. Garvik personally calls 3 students per grade level for a positive reason. We are establishing positive relationships with our parents and families, one phone call at a time. We are
monthly character education assemblies that reward students for exceptional character education and academic achievement and teacher recognition.
Beitzel is family and community engagement. We are Beitzel's annual Harvest Festival.
We
are
Beitzel's Trunk or Treat.
We are Beitzel's Multicultural Fair.
We
We are
Picnic with Parents events 4 times a year. These are heavily attended events that build community and continuity with our parents and families.
The motto at Beitzel is to make Beitzel a second home to students, families, and staff, and we are doing just that.
Next, we have Butler Elementary representatives.
Good evening. My name is Olivia and I'm a 6th grader from Arthur C. Butler.
My name's Jace and I'm also a 6th grader. We are both members of Butler's Student Equity Council.
Arthur C. Butler has many wonderful things, like our attention towards AVID and the collaboration we have with Sheldon High School. AVID is a great part of our school. All grades, especially 5th and 6th, learn how to keep everything organized and how to take notes. These skills help towards a productive day of learning. When it comes to collaborating, our school is awesome at it. We are able to come together with other schools to create events like our Harvest Festival where teenagers from Sheldon set up and ran games. We also have Sheldon Senior Projects where our students from Butler get to work with Sheldon High seniors to learn new things. Then later this month, we will be having a cultural festival where everyone is included. We are also able to collaborate with clubs in our school, like how the Student Equity Council worked with the Black Student Union to host the Ruby Bridges Walk. This shows how our school is really great and amazing.
I'm too short. Our school also has clubs and events that we can participate in, such as basketball, volleyball, and the running club. There are also clubs that can help us on campus like BOAT and Equity Council. BOAT, or Butler Organization and Accountability Team, is a group of our student leaders. They help keep Butler a cleaner place by picking up trash and taking out recycling. They also greet students as they come to school in the morning. Equity Council organizes many events with the PTO. Like Olivia said, the Equity Council is planning a cultural festival this month. These clubs make our school awesome. And you know what else is awesome? Our school has Paw Prints and Flashback Friday. Students earn paw prints by being respectful, responsible, or safe. Each week, Miss Hamlin or Miss Smothers pulls a paw print from each class. Winners can choose a prize like a small toy or the Flashback Friday, which is where you choose a song and it's played for the school the next Friday, and the other class have to figure out the song. That's why our school is super fun.
Next, we have our Fayette Elementary School representatives.
My name is Aviana Livingston Young, and I am a 3rd grade student in Miss Lee's class at Robert J. Fayette Elementary. I love being a Fayette student because our school is a fun school with many activities. There are spirit rallies, art projects, assemblies, and lots of after-school activities for students, including our Assist After-School program. No matter who you are, where you come from, or what language you speak, all Fayette students are supported and treated with care and respect.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Siebold, and I am a 4th grade student in Mr. Geyer's class at Fayette. I love being a student at Robert J. Fayette Elementary. We have fun and interesting field trips and a lot of after-school activities, including band, choir, drum club, arts, and athletics like run club, track and field, basketball, and volleyball. The teachers and staff at Fayette are thoughtful and supportive and always willing to help you.
My name is Harvin Nahal, and I am a 5th grade student in Miss Morgan's class. Fayette Elementary is awesome because it's where we learn, have fun, and support each other. Our teachers are like superheroes. They make everything exciting. At Fayette, we have fun playing games at recess, participating in PE and computers. And our library is a treasure chest full of amazing stories. Students can attend after-school activities like Crest and Chess Club too. As part of our community, Fayette participates in Walk and Roll to School Day and hosts events and celebrations like Flag Day, Multicultural Fair, parent picnics, and family nights.
My name is Lan Kong, a 6th grade student in Ms. Guzman Turner's class at Robert J. Fight Elementary. Being a Fight student is a great experience because the staff on our campus use their best abilities to assist the students and build a good learning environment for them. Fight is an AVID certified school, and students work hard to build community and achieve their academic goals. In our school, we soar, meaning that all students are safe, open-minded, accountable, and respectful. Students at Robert J. Fight are very successful and work hard every day because every day is a great day to be a Fight Falcon.
Now we have Mary Tsukamoto Elementary representatives.
Introducing Mary Tsukamoto.
Hi, my name is Khadija Sayedzada. My first school in this country is Mary Tsukamoto. I came here in second grade. At Mary Tsukamoto, there are a lot of students from many cultures. Our teachers are amazing and kind because they try to help us however they can. They do a lot to help our active participation in class, so we can feel comfortable raising our hands, asking questions, even if we aren't sure at first.
Hi, my name is Jasera Carthen. I am a 6th grader. And here at Mary Tsukamoto Elementary School, we set strong writing goals to help us prepare for our future in high school, college, and careers. One of our school-wide goals is no zeros on the writing assessment for CAS testing. We focus on the 3 types of writing: opinion, informational, and narrative. We learn about the elements of writing and how to organize our ideas. As a student who has a hard time with writing, I know that I can always get help from a teacher. Our teachers are so supportive and push us towards our goals. The writing we do at MTS prepares us for whatever might come our way, now or in the future.
Hi, my name is Matthew Shong. At Tsukamoto, we learn a lot and we also have fun. We offer sports such as flag football, basketball, cheer, and later this year we'll have volleyball. Wish me luck, a child. For those who have an artistic side, we have royal dance, band, and we just started a choir. Students can build their leadership skills and self-confidence from care pairs and to wing council. We also have Run and for Rent and a mentor group that provide enrichment opportunities for students. This just shows how much your staff care about the students at Mary Tsukamoto Elementary.
Hi, my name is Elsie Avalon and I'm a 6th grader. Mary Tsukamoto is not only a place for kids to learn, but for families to participate as well. At Spirit Assemblies, families can come and see students getting awards for achieving in class. We also do an annual friendship dance, winter extravaganza, and harvest festival. Parents can also participate in PCO, where they organize school fundraisers, minimum day movie days, and family picnic day. Overall, parents get to participate at school, which makes school a little more amazing.
Thank you for listening.
And finally, the representatives from TR Smedberg.
Good evening, Board President, members of the Board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Albios. My name is April Formula. I'm an 8th grader at TR Smedberg, and I'll be talking about athletics and clubs. Clubs at Smedberg are during school hours, and we have many clubs to choose from, like Asian Pacific Islander Club, Art Club, and Crochet Club. The sports we have are basketball, volleyball, cross country, wrestling, and also track and field. Everyone's invited to our home basketball games to hear our Wolverine Pep Band.
Hello EGUSD Board, my name is Omar Alawad and I am one of the ASB students. I will be talking about electives and programs at TR Smedberg. We offer many electives like art, band, theater, woodshop, and more. Students can take 2 electives, and if you've taken them before, you can move on to higher levels of them like Band 2, Theater 2, Art 2, and Woodshop 2. Here at Smedberg, we also have fun and amazing programs like Celebrate Smedberg, club rallies, 8th and 7th grade rallies, and more.
Good evening, I'm Zachary Feng, and I'm here to talk about our school acronym GRIT and a project named YAP. GRIT stands for Growth Mindset, Respectfulness, Integrity, and Thoughtfulness. We show grit by respecting others, like thanking teachers, and having a growth mindset by tackling test challenges. YAP, or Youth Action Project, aims to make our school better. This year, we're focusing on respect. One idea is to give golden tickets to respectful students in which they can trade in for candy bars or use in the raffle for a movie night.
Good evening again, EGUSD Board. My name is Miles. Randolph, and I'll be talking about academics and what POP is and how we incorporate it to make our school's academics fun. Academics are the spotlight of our school. We make sure that students at our school stay focused and get good grades. We encourage the students to get good grades by using POP, aka Proud of the Pack. POP is an award that you get for grades. There are 3 levels of POP: gold, silver, and green. If you get a 4.0, you get gold, 3.99 to 3.5 is silver, and a 3.49 to 3.0 is green. Last quarter, over half of the students at our school got POP. Awards that you get for POP are bathroom passes, free snacks, and even a homework pass. Thank you, EGSD Board, and show grit.
At Sheldon High School, Future Farmers of America, FFA, is one of our best known pathways. In FFA, you have multiple opportunities of community service, raising animals, public speaking, and plenty of student-led projects. With this is our music program that includes our amazing band team that places first and second in multiple competitions. They are a top-rated visual and performing arts class at our campus.
We also have our amazing Biotech Academy that is involved in science and medicine. They focus on biotechnology with the medical field with tons of research that helps them learn and do basic science projects.
Part of our VAPA pathway is our very talented theater program, which plays out musical and does choreography. They throw on multiple theater shows, and one coming up is Chicago Musical. Speaking of which is our very own dance company, Universal Rhythm. It is another program with our visual arts on campus. These dancers practice almost every rally, performing their very own shows, events, and dances at each one of our rallies.
Sheldon's choir is filled with the school's most talented singers who are renowned for their clear quality with singing. They win multiple choir competitions competing at the highest level within our region. They win altogether, these different amazing VAPA programs come together to put on a performance, like at our homecoming football game. Last but not least, we cannot forget our athletic department, which includes men's and women's volleyball, golf, soccer, wrestling, basketball, swimming, and water polo, and tennis, then track, cross country, football, cheer, flag football, baseball, and softball. These students athletes are the definition of hard workers and persevere through anything.
And finally, thank you, board members, and remember, today is a great day to be a Husky.
Every day is a great day to be a Husky.
Woo!
Excellent. Thank you very much. And before we release you all, I want to thank all of your wonderful principals who are here. Leticia Buccio, Sheldon High School. Richard Hall, Smedberg Middle School. Lynn Garverick, Beitzel Elementary. Sharon Hamlin, Butler Elementary. Diane Standring, Fight Elementary. And Molly Sangalang, Mary Sukumoto Elementary. Thank you all very much, and students, you are dismissed. Yes. All right. Next up, I'd like to call on Mr. Dave Nickerson to do our athletic recognition for Fall CIF champions.
You
Chad?
did that right. I just want to take a moment. Good evening, Board President Vargas, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. Before Dave gets up here, I'm just very happy to introduce our new coordinator of district athletics and facilities. You all voted on him at a previous board meeting, so we're honored here tonight to have Mr. Dave Nickerson.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, President Vargas, members of the school board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Tonight, I'm honored to introduce you to two very special athletes. These two young ladies from Cosumnes Oaks High School won the CIF Division I Section Tennis Championship. Coach Chris Wall assisted these two outstanding representatives in defending their title. Yes, they won it as freshmen too. Defeating Del Oro in the finals, 3-6, 6-0, 10-6, and are now two-time CIF section champions. I would now like to introduce head coach Chris Wall, who will introduce his athletes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I've been honored to work with these young ladies, these athletes, for many years prior to coming into high school. So I'm very proud to be up here tonight and introduce Gabby Williams and Sydney Shu for defending their title from last year. Very proud.
Nervous. We're going to take
Thank you very much. All right, on to our resolutions for the week. First up, recognition of School Counseling Week. Ms. Nicole Brown.
Good evening. Good evening to President Vargas, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. My name is Nicole Brown, District Head Counselor, and I have a few counselors with me here this evening to read the board resolution. This is recognition of School Counseling Week. In conjunction with the American School Counselor Association, the Board of Education has requested and approved this resolution for recognizing February 3rd through February 7th, 2025 as National School Counseling Week. The week of February 3rd through the 7th, 2025 marks National School Counseling Week and provides the board and the community with an opportunity to focus public attention on the unique contributions of school counselors within the Elk Grove Unified School District and our schools. Through academic, college, career, and social emotional counseling, school counselors provide essential educational support services for positive academic and post-secondary outcomes for all students. Elk Grove Unified School counselors focus on early intervention and prevention by providing direct student services within comprehensive school counseling programs and serve an integral component of the district's multi-tiered systems of student support and promoting equitable treatment for all students. PGUSD school counselors have aligned their work with the standards developed by the National School Counselor Association to ensure the fidelity of implementation of their service delivery model. The district appreciates and recognizes the important work of school counselors in providing students with the necessary support for their academic, social, emotional, and post-secondary successes. This evening, we ask the board to approve Resolution Number 50 to recognize Elk Grove Unified School District counselors during National Counseling Week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yang, do we have any blue cards on this item?
Board President, no blue card on this item.
Thank you. Since there are no blue cards, I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 50, recognizing February 3rd through the 7th, 2025 as National School Counseling Week.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Yang, seconded by Ms. Ballerini. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, Mr. Yang, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment to recognize the counselors of Elk Grove Unified School District. With the pandemic that has passed us by into the journey of now, it's been harder than ever for a counselor. So I just want to give my sincere thank you for all the hard work, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next up is World Rare Disease Day. Mr. Singh.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, President, members of the board, President Vargas, Superintendent Hoffman, and colleagues and community. It is my honor to introduce resolution number 52, which recognizes February 28th, 2025 as World Rare Disease Day. The Board of Education is requested to recognize February 28, 2025 as World Rare Disease Day as part of district-wide awareness for rare diseases and to advocate and improve access to treatments and medical representation for individuals with rare diseases and their families. World Rare Disease Day is observed on the last day of February, and on this day, various activities take place in the United States, Europe, Asia, Japan, and Russia, and elsewhere around the world, recognizing that 80% of rare diseases have identified genetic origins and that 50% of rare diseases touch children. The goals of this observance within the district are to generate curiosity in students on the topic of rare diseases and to encourage them to take interest in new fields of science, to promote awareness and understanding and to create compassion for other people with a rare disease, and to join in a global partnership supporting the search for ways of improving the lives of those affected by these rare diseases. This recognition will declare district support for the worldwide campaign to create awareness of rare diseases. With that, it is my honor to request the board to approve and adopt Resolution 52, which will recognize February 28, 2025 as World Rare Disease Day.
Thank you, Mr. Singh. Mr. Yang, do we have any blue cards on this item?
Board President, no blue card on this item.
Then I will entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 52, recognizing February 28th, 2025 as World Rare Disease Day.
So moved. I was already ahead of time.
Moved by Ms. Ballerini.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Moore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up is student expulsion involuntary transfer recommendations. Would anybody like to address the board in closed session regarding a student expulsion? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the recommendation for student expulsion.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Yang.
Seconded.
Seconded by Ms. Ballerini. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Request for return from expulsion. I will entertain a motion to approve the request for return from student expulsion.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Yang.
Seconded.
Seconded by Ms. Ballerini. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Next up is our public comment for items not on the agenda. Mr. Yang, are there any blue cards for this item?
Board President, we got a few. Okay, good evening. Calling Jeffrey Mendenville, or mispronounce your name or last name, please correct me. Followed by David Gibson.
Hi, good evening. It's Jeffrey Medeiros. So thank you for having us here tonight. My name is Jeffrey Medeiros, and I'm here to oppose the implementation of a year-round at Arnold Adriani. I am a parent of 3 kids, Arnold Adriani, Albiani, and Pleasant Grove. I've been on PTA for 4 years at Adriani, pushing him through, school site council. I've been through, at this point, 4 different principals, and I've been deeply involved with the school activity since 2016, and even was able to interview our new principal. Since I've been at the school, we've experienced a significant problem with families falsifying their address in order to gain access to Arnold Adriani. I've watched this get progressively worse over the years. Given my extensive experience with the school and knowledge of the families within our community, I would estimate that approximately 30% of all families at Arnold Adriani do not live within school boundaries. It's one of the most highly sought after schools to get into, and it's increased our overall enrollment to a point where we may have to go year round. This would be a huge problem for us because we would have a year round and a traditional. So we're here to hopefully get in front of this and oppose it. There's schools that are near us, which are Pleasant Grove Elementary and I believe Fight, that don't have full enrollment, but somehow we've gone from 700 to 900 students. The houses in the area, they've only built 40 in a decade, 40. The average home prices are $850,000 with the top home selling for $3.2 million. This isn't an area where people come in as first-time home buyers with new families. It's an established community. I understand that we need to find a home for all students, but what's happening at this point is the students that are falsifying their addresses and driving in from over on the I-5 side to attend Arnold Adriani because of our rankings are going to affect us. We can't have it go year-round. We can't have students on traditional, a student on year-round. There's people that live in our area that are teachers. Some of them are on modified traditional. How would we go and do anything with our families if we're juggling modified traditional and year-round schedules? There's summer ball that we have going on. So I put together a petition to oppose the implementation of the year-round school, and in 1 week, it garnered 162 signatures from within our school district, within our school. Granted, some of these people have multiple kids that go there, so even if we give them half that have 2 or 3 students that go there, that's 250. That's 25% of our school in a week with no advertisement, just word of mouth. This is a really big issue to us, so please hear us out. It would really impact how we go through everything. Traditional school calendar allows us to plan vacations, coordinate childcare, spend extended quality time with our kids. A year-round schedule in conjunction with other schedules, traditional, modified traditional, is going to increase childcare. It's going to put a lot of distress on our families. So there's a lot of us here to speak on it. Some of us couldn't be here tonight because power went out, but please hear our plea.
Thank you. Next up, David Gibson, followed by Annette Shana.
Good evening. First, I just want to say, with the 5th largest school district in the state, I understand you guys got a lot going on. A lot of schools, a lot of students, a lot of parents, a lot are happy, and some of us aren't so happy. Mainly, the only reason I'm unhappy is the fact that we may have to go to this year-round school. I have 2 children at Adriani. They're 4 years apart. So I'm going to have one of them going into middle school, into high school. They're traditional. Now I'm going to have 2 kids. One's traditional, one's year-round. And with my job, I'm not home all the time. My wife is able to be, but with sports, school, everything else that goes on with raising children, it's just a pain in the butt to have to deal with both of those schedules. My wife is from the East Coast. My in-laws are from the East Coast, so planning things out, getting ahead of them, planning years in advance, months in advance, these are things that we have to do. Obviously, everybody knows the economy is not getting better, so things are more expensive. Doing anything takes more planning. This is just another burden that's going to be dropped on us. I just want you guys to think about it. I know he brought up the fact that there's a lot of students in there that are not from the boundary within Adriani. And I don't have an issue with any of them being there other than the fact that now, because of it, we may have to go to a year-round schedule. My wife's involved with the PTA. I am her laborer when it comes to a lot of that stuff. I've met a lot of the family members, a lot of the students, and a lot of the teachers. Everything's going smooth right now. I know they just built all those houses a few blocks away, and I understand that probably is going to be the thing that kind of is our tipping point. And I'm just curious if you guys had done any planning before this, before getting to this situation. I don't know if it's something that's guaranteed. I'm just hoping that it's not. I'm here to just say, please, try to find some other way, some other answer to this problem. I know you guys have a lot on your plate. I do thank you all for doing what you do. I understand it takes up a lot of your time just to be here. This is my first time here. Just think about it, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Annette Shana, followed by Chandra.
Well, good evening here. My name is Navni Sharma, and I'm kind of following same thread that we just had the same conversation about Adriani changing to the year-round schedule. So first of all, thank you to all of you for allowing me this time to share my concerns in regards to this change. I'm speaking today on behalf of my family, not only my family, but whole Adriani community, to convey our strong opposition to this change. Switching to a year-round schedule may help Elk Grove to get higher enrollment at Adriani. Still, it comes with a significant cost and challenge that the community will ultimately bear. I want to elaborate on the hardships we anticipate due to this shift. These challenges are not just unique to my family. Based on the feedback we have gathered from the community, which is 160 parents who have expressed the similar fears. Many families in the Adriani community are working parents with the demanding careers. So we choose to buy homes in the Adriani boundary where the traditional schedule aligned better with our lives. Unfortunately, this switch to a year-round schedule may force us to consider withdrawing our children from the Adriani. Additionally, since our children are of varying ages, having one child at Adriani, another at Albiani or Pleasant Grove means we would be having to juggle the different schedules for our kids. This also poses a financial burden on many of us. The cost of daycare is already high, and finding a daycare is hard. I mean, I have to enroll my children before they were born, and they were on the wait list to get into a daycare. And now identifying a way to find this intermittent daycare is going to be impossible. If there's a 3 months, we can have a grandparent watch a kid. We can juggle 2 kids simultaneously. Now we're trying to meet the deal to have a 6 months in a year to find a daycare for our kids when they would be on 2 different schedules. Hardship to sustain our careers. It was sad to read some of those comments when parents feel that they might have to make some tough decisions about their jobs. They might have to reevaluate their careers with this change impacting their immediate family on the job side of things, because even though they want their kids to have this education, they might not be able to work in the jobs they are currently because they would not be able to meet this need. This definitely would have a challenge on our vacations. If one kid is on a track, one is on traditional, we really won't have alignment where we can take a vacation, which means we might have to pull our kids out and they would be absent from the school, which has been very against my personal philosophy, which I don't support. But because of this new change, we will have to think about that and might have to do it or be okay not taking a vacation. Lastly, it will decline our enrollment. It will decline our enrollment from immediate community because we have to pull our kids out, or because we have to have them absent from school at several occasions to make other things happen in our life. And lastly, this will also affect the funding for the school if the kids are absent and the scores of the school. Adriani is one of the #1 school when it comes to scoring, and we will see a decline in that front as well. So with that, I would just like to close my argument here, but I would
Sorry, Miss, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, up next, Chandra, followed by April Jevis.
Good evening, board members, President Vargas, Superintendent Hoffman. My name is Chandra Roten. I'm the Executive Director for Luminous Minds, former veteran teacher, BITSA support provider, professional development coach, and principal. I'm also a proud member of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation and collaborate locally in our community with nonprofits such as Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brothers Big Sisters, all on initiatives aimed at improving literacy rates in our community. The work that I get to do at Luminous Minds involves actively partnering with districts across our state to address our literacy crisis, close gaps, and advance outcomes by providing science of reading aligned resources and evidence-based professional development for our teachers. Here in Sacramento, we're honored to partner with SCOE through the Sac County Reads Initiative, supporting Resolution 2418 and the implementation of 9 guiding principles to foster literacy across our community. I believe you might have a handout or two in front of you on that, sharing those guiding principles. This evening, I'm here to ask the board to consider adopting a similar resolution or initiative focused on implementing guiding principles or standards that ensure our students everywhere have access to the right resources, content, and tools to build a strong foundation in reading. At this time, I urge the board to continue the work that you've done, the great work in investing in professional development and support for our teachers, equipping them with science-based techniques to become literacy leaders in their classroom. They need it, they welcome it, and they want it. As you already know, only 48% of our third graders are reading at grade level. That means over half our children are not. More of our students can't read than can. And even though comparatively throughout all the districts in Sacramento County, Elk Grove has the second highest percentage of students reading to proficiency, I know we can do better. And we're all here to help. I commend the board for the progress that Elk Grove has already made in prioritizing literacy, and I really appreciate the steps you have taken to address this critical issue. As a teacher, as an educational leader, as a community advocate, I urge you to continue to make literacy a top priority in our district. Together, we can empower every child to reach their full potential through the transformative power of reading. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your commitment to our students.
Thank you. Up next, April, followed by Mesha.
Hi there. My name is April. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight to listen to all of us, and thank you for giving us each 3 minutes. That's really nice. I'm the executive director of the Sacramento Literacy Foundation, and the foundation is the convener of the Sacramento Literacy Coalition. I put this on top of your desk so that you could see the reading rates in Elk Grove, also the resolution that we're talking about, which SCOE passed, and some tips and tools about evidence-based curriculum. The foundation's mission is to help all kids read, and our goals are very much centered on giving kids culturally relevant books and advocating for evidence-based curriculum instruction rooted in the science of reading research. It's a body of research, is what the science of reading is. We are motivated by the understanding that reading is the top equity skill, and the reading crisis that we're all in the middle of across the country is solvable. Over the last 3 years, we've given 16,000 books to TK first, second graders, more than 100,000 culturally relevant books to take home to our poorest kids. 40% of those books have been bilingual. Your district has been the beneficiary of some of those books. This year, we went to Samuel Kennedy Elementary, where we gave the kids books, and we had an author come and do a presentation about reading. It was exciting. So today, we want to bring your attention to SCOE's resolution, and we are asking this board to adopt some version of the resolution in your district, to get together, talk about it, and see what you can do there, so that we're paying attention. We have provided you with the further information, as I mentioned. Right now, only 48% of the kids in Elk Grove, third grade kids in Elk Grove School District, are at grade level reading. That means more kids are not at grade level reading than are, and it's important to start talking about the data. Not learning to read by the third grade takes a child's right to learn away from them, because in the fourth grade, a child must read to learn. So if they can't read proficiently, then they're going to fall behind in every single topic in the 4th grade. Imagine how frustrating that is for that kid. We know Elk Grove teachers have more prep time in their negotiated contract than other districts, and you have the second highest reading rate in the Sacramento County, so it shows up. That's really good news and a really good step forward. Adriani, I just looked at them. They advanced by 9% this year, and they're at 80% grade level reading. I want to say congratulations to you. That's an amazing number here in Sacramento County. If we're to meet the goal of all kids reading, we need teacher training, we need curriculum, and we need contracted programming, all that includes evidence-based practices. It took Mississippi exactly 3 years from full implementation of evidence-based instruction to move their 3rd graders from 22% to 85%. That's a big increase, right? And that was by implementing the science of reading. So it's really time for all of us in the community to embrace what the science of reading research has to offer students, which is greater equity, greater individual agency, and greater participation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Up next, Mesa, followed by Denise Morgan.
Hello, board members, Superintendent Hoffman. My name is Messiah. I'm with the Sacramento Literacy Foundation. 62% of 3rd graders in Sacramento are not reading at grade level. 62%. And as adults, what happens to these kiddos when they grow up? They often have trouble finding jobs, securing a home, and casting a vote. If you cannot read, you cannot participate. The Sacramento Literacy Foundation, that's us, our mission is to help every child read by delivering culturally relevant books to our most underserved students and advocating for the science of reading, which is why we're here tonight. Now, we've had the privilege of being able to serve 16,000 of Sacramento's most underrepresented students. And each student receives 5 books that reflect their gender and their ethnicity. Now, this is based off of research that tells us that when kids are able to see themselves in their books, they're able to pull from their own lived experiences to become faster and more confident readers. Here's one of my favorite stories I like to tell folks. I helped in one of our book giveaways for the kindergartners, and I asked the kids, who here likes to read? Only a few hands went up. And as everyone's getting their books, Kareem, a refugee from Afghanistan, he comes up to me and he whispers, I don't know how to read. Kareem is like most of our kids who can't read. They feel ashamed. As everyone's opening up their books, I'm hearing Ramadan, Ramadan, Ramadan. All of the kids are excited about one book in particular, Moon's Ramadan. And then I hear Kareem sounding out the book title, Ramadan. It's a familiar word, and in that moment, it's a word that he reads for the first time. Kareem's reading journey has just begun. Now, our book giveaway has helped us build relationships with schools, teachers, and parents to share tools and information about the science of reading. So here's a few simple science of reading concepts. 1, pick a word once a week, learn it, and sound it out. 2, have your kiddo read to you and listen. Our intentionality in what we do is what makes us unique. Not only are we giving books that kids are able to see themselves in, but it also gives us an opportunity to help parents help their kids learn to read. The literacy crisis is solvable. So tonight, I'm asking all of you to adopt a portion or all of SCOE's Science of Reading resolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Up next, Denise Morgan, followed by Victor Ward.
Good evening. My name is Denise Morgan, and I am with the 3rd District PTA. I'm Vice President of Programs, and I'm the newly elected president that will be coming into the next term. And so we're happy to represent 10 of your schools with PTA units. And within those 10 schools, you have 7,290 students. So PTA really is here as a partner, coming to you to express our commitment to what we do in conjunction and in tandem. And I am talking about literacy as well. We hope that Elk Grove Unified School District will be a leader in this effort. When I was at SCOE, when Sacramento County Office of Education passed the resolution, and ahead of that, as we heard from public comment, there was some back and forth conversations going on, but what it came down to was the board deciding to put a stake in the ground to say we're leaders in this effort, And I believe that Elk Grove Unified School District could also play that role because you guys are doing amazing work. If you have one school that has 80% literacy proficiency, that means you could do that with all your schools. And so I'm encouraged, and I just want to come to you as a partner. PTA is here to support. We actually had our legislation conference today, and we heard from multiple senators and assembly members. And so I'm shifting a little bit because of the urgency in this moment, because our state PTA president asked us to share this. As we start a new year, we are reminded that at California State PTA, we are united in supporting all children and families. Our members represent the great diversity of California. We speak many languages. We celebrate many cultures and religions. We may call ourselves liberals or conservatives. As PTA members, we believe that whatever the background of a child and family, we are united in improving their health, welfare, and education. California State PTA first took a position on the rights and services for undocumented children and children of undocumented immigrants in 1994. Since then, PTA has consistently defended the right of every child to a quality public education, adequate food and shelter, and basic health services. Our position statement affirms that schools are meant to be safe spaces where children can learn and grow without fear. Likewise, schools must be safe places for families to support their children's education. It is in the interest of all Californians to ensure that all children can reach their full potential and become productive members of society. Access to free public education is the most effective method of securing this opportunity and should not be denied any child. So I applaud the district for also stating your position at the beginning of this meeting in conjunction. So please know that PTA is here as a partner, and we hope that you'll adopt the resolution, some version of it, or exactly like SCOE did, because every single guiding principle within there will continue to benefit all children. Thank you.
Thank you. Followed by Victor Ward.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent. First, I wanted to say thank you. I know you guys have to deal with real life and real issues, and whenever I've spoken here before, I never say thank you, so I figured I'd start off with the thank you this time. My issue is not so serious, so it's a little bit more lighthearted. You can relax, take a bit of a breath. Social media and cell phones in schools typically don't mix. My suggestion is that school districts should figure out a way to combine those two, and turn it from trouble to a really powerful educational tool. And so what my company has done is we've created something called Real Time, which allows students and teachers and parents and administrators to upload their own pictures, photos, music, and videos, their own memories, transforming the traditional one-size-fits-all yearbook to something that's actually truly memorable, personal, individual. I want to tell you a quick story. About 30 years ago, I was a long-term sub in Oakland Unified, and I had a fifth grade classroom. It was June. All the fifth graders were singing "I Believe I Can Fly." I won't sing it right now, but I was there, and I'm listening to all these students, and I'm crying. And it was this was a special time. It's graduation. Graduation is that time when everyone is happy. Everyone is smiling. It is the culmination of the entire year. Everyone works for that moment. And if you think about it, that moment is never captured by a traditional yearbook. The greatest day of the year is not captured by a traditional yearbook. Earlier today, you had the two young ladies who were defending their championship in tennis, I believe. No sport is ever really captured by a traditional yearbook. A picture cannot capture an ace. A picture cannot capture a winning shot. The other two ladies were talking about a VAPA program. There's no traditional yearbook that does justice to a fantastic music program or a theatrical arts performance. So, the traditional yearbook, I'm not suggesting that you get away from the traditional yearbook. Keep the traditional yearbook, but do what's great for students. This is no longer 1825, it's 2025. And I think it's time that we moved into, the 21st century, allow students to have something that's really, really memorable for each year. So I'll probably stick here, one, to avoid the rain, and two, to see maybe whom I can speak with afterwards and maybe take the next steps. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Up next, Shanna, followed by our last speaker, Ryan Sheldon.
Good evening, Superintendent Hoffman, board members, community. Pleased to be here with you tonight. My name is Shauna Pitt. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services at Sacramento County Office of Education. You've heard from some of my friends tonight regarding our recent board resolution, and I just wanted to spend some time giving you a brief overview of our broader initiative called Sacramento County Reads. It's a critical effort to address literacy challenges and ensure that every student in our county has the opportunity to become a proficient reader. We know literacy is a cornerstone for success. Poor reading skills are linked to higher unemployment rates, increased incarceration, and poor health outcomes. Alarmingly, recent data shows that over 56% of Sacramento County students are not reading at grade level. Even more concerning are the disparities when you look more closely at different student groups. Only 22% of foster youth, 20% of homeless students, 25% of African American students, 11% of English learners, 16% of students with disabilities are meeting state standards in English language arts. The Sacramento County Reads initiative aims to change these outcomes. We emphasize evidence-based reading instruction, early identification of struggling readers through universal screening, and tailored support for those who need it most. But this initiative isn't just about schools, it's about families, it's about educators and community partners working together, much like you've heard from some of our friends tonight. First, we center families and caregivers recognizing their crucial role in developing strong readers by fostering a love of books, encouraging daily reading, and staying engaged in the child's progress. Second, we commit to quality teaching and learning, promoting evidence-based instruction, ongoing professional development for educators, and culturally diverse literacy resources to ensure every student feels represented and supported. And I know Elk Grove is a leader in this regard with lots of strong instruction and training for educators at all levels around reading language arts. Finally, we prioritize community partnerships and collaborating with local organizations like Luminous Minds and others to increase access to diverse books and build a culture of reading that extends beyond the classroom. Through the Sacramento County Reads initiative, we're laying the foundation for a future where every child in Sacramento County has the literacy skills they need to thrive in school, participate fully in our democracy, and lead fulfilling lives. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Last speaker, Ryan Sheldon.
How you doing, guys? Okay. Members of the board, thank you for your time tonight to address an issue that requires your attention. We've tried to work with the teachers and administrators, but we are at an impasse. I'm a parent of a first grader at Helen Carr Costello. Tonight, I seek your help in upholding this district's commitment to inclusion, specifically for my son who has ADHD combination subtype, which means his symptoms include both hyperactive and inattentive types. This year, he's been subjected to bullying and abuse at the hands of his teachers by their refusal to implement the needs and accommodations laid out in his 504 plan and by the administrators of the school who continuously shield those teachers. Specifically, they've denied him the use of fidget items, claiming that they make noise or that he plays with them. They've denied him breaks when he's asked for them, and despite their claims that they know what ADHD is, they've repeatedly disciplined him for not sitting still, making noises, rocking in his chair, or fidgeting with items within reach. Each infraction and the subsequent discipline has caused extreme emotional and psychological distress in my 6-year-old. Just last week, my wife and I took him for an emergency therapy session after he started becoming more and more explosive in his outbursts at school, and he started making comments about cutting his arms with scissors and started to shut down emotionally. My 6-year-old. This is not a child with a history of violent and defiant and overly disruptive behavior. It's just been within the last few weeks that he's been so out of control. In addition to his violation of his 504 plan, I bring two specific events to your attention. Last week, while on a joint phone call with his teacher, my wife and I inquired why our son was punished for being unable to complete his work in class, and he told us that he couldn't find the materials. When we told her that, she accused him of hiding his materials, saying that they appeared the next day. Misplacing items is a classic trait of ADHD. 3 days later, during a 504 meeting between the vice principal and 2 others and the teacher and myself, she lied and denied she ever said that to my wife and I. After that meeting ended, and it was just her and I in the room, she admitted that she did, in fact, make that accusation, which she had just denied. I asked about another incident my son reported in which he said she dragged him outside by his chair and purposely locked him out of her classroom. She admitted that he was correct and that she had taken him outside and locked him outside in the classroom alone on purpose. She knew she was wrong and lied to cover her butt to the administrators and waited until it was just her and I. This is child abuse. Denying a child their documented needs is akin to denying a child their prescribed medication. Locking a child out of the classroom is a safety violation. I'm asking the board to investigate immediately and take necessary actions to either retrain these teachers and administrative staff or remove them from their positions of power over children. Thank you.
Thank you. Board President, this ends our brew cars for public comment.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the public for your feedback. Appropriate district staff will follow up with all concerns presented during public comment. All right, next up is the consent agenda. Mr. Yang, are there any blue cards on the consent agenda?
Board President, there's no brew card on this item.
Thank you very much. Would any member of the board like to pull an item from the consent agenda? Right. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 19 on the consent agenda.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Yang.
Seconded.
Seconded by Ms. Ballerini. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Bargaining units. Would anybody wish to address the board? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to reports and discussion items. First up is the 2025-26 Governor's Budget Update. Ms. Watkins.
Good evening. Let me orient myself with the technology. Hold on. Okay. So good evening, President Vargas, trustees, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos, colleagues, and community. I am here to present the governor's budget proposal for 2025-26. Now, this is a new version of our financial reporting life cycle. You've seen it in past presentations. This represents the 3 concurrent years that we're presenting at any point in time in our financial reporting. Where we are in the life cycle, it's January, so we're presenting the governor's budget proposal. Last we reported on was last fiscal year's audited financials. And next in March, you'll be hearing about our second interim budget update. I'd like to highlight some of the themes from the governor's budget proposal. The budget was released approximately 3 weeks ago, and 2 weeks ago, School Services of California did a presentation, and so many of these slides you see here today are credited to School Services. There are several call-outs from the governor's budget proposal that I want to highlight. First, at the time of the budget release, Southern California was experiencing devastating fires, and to which the state has responded to with emergency support, and this is not factored yet into the budget. The budget also appears to underappropriate funding to the minimum Proposition 98 funding guarantee for education. There are no cuts to Proposition 98. This is stable education funding that invests in our core instruction and learning. The state is funded from a personal income tax base that is dependent on the state's highest earners, as well as corporation taxes and sales taxes. Inflation, the slowing of interest rate reductions, and other economic uncertainties related to the fires and tax filing delays will create economic uncertainty. We are in a much better position than we were a year ago, where we were facing proposed reductions. The budget projects a balanced budget with a surplus. The state is vulnerable to federal changes in tariffs and immigration policy, which is one of the greatest risks to the state's economy and the assumptions in this proposal. Now, this slide just summarizes the current risks to the state budget, which are impacting tax revenues and operational costs, including the stock market volatility and federal policy changes. Now, Proposition 98, education funding, encumbers over half of the state's available revenue. In the budget proposal, the governor eliminates reliance on one-time funding to support our local control funding formula and other ongoing costs. There's also proposed significant additional one-time discretionary funds. And our estimated cost of living adjustment is fully funded. Now, the majority of our education budget invests in core programs and direct student investments. Over 60% of the education budget funds ongoing programs, with 40% supporting one-time infrastructure needs and professional development. As mentioned in the overview, the budget proposes to under-appropriate the 2024-25 minimum guarantee to education from concerns about the variability of revenues due to the delays in tax deadlines and the ability of the state to certify revenue prior to the enacted budget. This appears to be a safety net for the governor within the budget proposal, but likely unconstitutional. If the revenues materialize, it will be owed to Proposition 98 as one-time funding. The budget proposal includes Proposition 28. It's just a call out. We're guaranteed that by statute. This is our arts and education funding, and it is equal to 1% of the TK through 12 portion of the prior year minimum guarantee for Prop 98. Risks to the education budget include the impact to revenues from the extended tax filing deadline for residents of Los Angeles County as a direct response to the fires. And why this is a risk is because LA County residents make up over 25% of the state's total population and is also home to 14 of our Fortune 500 companies. And as I shared earlier, our state tax revenue base comes from personal income tax and corporate taxes. So this contributes significantly to the tax base and the final state revenues to be budgeted for next fiscal year. Now, there are less risks to our local budget than in past years, and that's because our local control funding formula is funded with ongoing revenues and our COLA is fully funded. But our greatest risk is to our local and dependent on what we account for in our enrollment changes and in our budgeting for those, as well as rising costs, and those include pensions, insurance, and utilities. Now, this is just an overview of our local control funding formula. We receive base grants, and then they apply a COLA to the base grant from the current year to get our next year's base grant. They apply what's called grade span adjustments for TK through 3 and grades 9. And then there's supplemental and concentration, and this relates to our unduplicated pupil percentage. This slide illustrates what those dollars look like in our base grant, how the COLA would apply, and what our new base grant per unit of average daily attendance for our students would be for next year. This is assuming a 2.43% COLA. In our last budget proposal, bless you, in our last budget proposal at first interim in that multi-year projection for last year, the COLA was estimated at 2.93%. That 0.5% reduction is approximately $4 million to our bottom line, and you'll hear more about that in our second interim proposal in the March 4th board meeting. Now, what's also included here to the adjusted base grant, you'll see the supplemental and concentration funds. Those amounts are assumed, the values if we were at 100% unduplicated pupil percentage. So we're currently, for the current year, 62%. Our average for the last 3 years, of which we're funded on in these supplemental and concentration grants, is the average of 3 years, and our average is just over 55%. The TK add-on on this slide to call out, that is improved by the governor's budget proposal to fully fund TK, as well as reduce the class size student adult ratios from 12 to 1 to 10 to 1. So that includes an additional $3,200 that we are being advised not to include in the budget. So you'll hear more about that with the second interim proposal. until we get closer to May revision. Our other state funding makes up roughly 18% of our total general fund budget, and these are those programs receiving cost of living adjustment within the governor's budget proposal. There are certain programs such as the California State Preschool Program, which in the current year and last year received no COLA. We see that returning to a COLA environment in the next proposed for the next fiscal year. This also includes home to school transportation add-on. What's notable is there are certain state-funded programs that don't receive COLA, such as Expanded Learning Opportunities Program and Career Technical Education Incentive Grants. Now, this is the one we're watching. There is a proposed one-time discretionary block grant. We've heard that in the past with our arts, music, and instructional materials in the recent past. But what the governor's proposal is proposing to give local education agencies funding in the form of one-time funds. It's a significant investment. We received trailer bill language on February 1st over the weekend that gave us a little more details. At the time of this presentation from School Services, we didn't have all of the details. Currently, what's being proposed is that it would be allocated on a per unit of average daily attendance rate based on this spring's period 2 attendance data for 24-25. And the estimated allocation rate per unit of ADA is roughly $323 according to the trailer bill. What's important about these funds is although they're discretionary in nature, the trailer bill language does identify 4 suggested uses for statewide priorities, including professional development and developing and implementing teacher recruitment and retention strategies. We also know from the trailer bill language that it must be fully expended by June 30th of 2029. So it's premature to include this funding in our second interim because it is still subject to negotiations between the governor and the legislature with respect to the dollar amount, the allocation methodology, and allowable uses, and considering all the risks that I highlighted before of the uncertainties in the federal budget environment as well as the state budget impacts of the fires. These are additional budget proposals to call out. As I shared, the budget does propose to fully fund universal TK and those class size ratios of 10-1. It also has something that we're watching with respect to Expanding Learning Opportunities Program. Currently, the program gives a stable funding rate of $2,750 per ADA for districts that are 75% or above in our unduplicated pupil percentage. The Budget Act is proposing to drop that UPP percentage to 55%. And why that's important for us to watch is we're hovering right at 55%. So still a lot to learn about this, but this could be an opportunity as we get to May revision and the enacted budget to see additional dollars come in for expanded learning opportunities. The budget proposal also includes partial restoration of the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. As you recall, the board has taken action to use those funds to continue our previously ESSER-funded positions through June 30th of 26. I say partial restoration because if you recall a few years ago, they gave us an award and they took some of that back. So they're looking to just add some dollars to make us whole from what they rescinded from us. In addition, there's one-time investments for teacher recruitment and incentive grants, literacy, kitchen funds, and career technical education. So based on a lot of the variability and uncertainty still to come, as well as changes that happened since the budget proposal was put together by the governor, is School Services of California is advising to not count on any of those proposed revenues other than the COLA, and that COLA reduction from what we presented to the board back in December. I want to speak a little bit about multi-year projections. Every budget document that you'll see will include a multi-year projection. It includes the current year that we're talking about the budget as well as the next 2 fiscal years. And this is important for monitoring ongoing district stability. This is an example. The slide illustrates the impacts to the multi-year projection under a COLA-only environment, showing the increasing expenditures outpacing our new ongoing revenues. One such expenditure outside of our control is the employer contribution rates towards the pension systems. Currently, CalSTRS has a flat expected pension rate into our future years for multi-year projection, but PERS has had a steady increase year over year for several years. You'll see back pre-pandemic, we were at 19.7%. We're currently over 27%. So this is an area that impacts our budget that we have very little control over, and so we're continuing to watch and calculate those impacts. Other local budgeting considerations as we head towards the May revision and in second interim, as well as monitoring our projections for enrollment and incorporating the COLA reduction. As I alluded to, there's a lot going on at the federal level that is creating some uncertainty and unrest. And because of this volatility, I want to call out federal revenues for our general fund represent 7% of our budget. So it's another area that we're focusing on closely. Now, the state legislature, with the entire budget proposal, they'll go into discussions in the legislature about what the governor's proposed and decide how the budget proposal will manifest as a May revision and subsequently the enacted budget. And part of the conversation currently at the legislature is to evaluate recommendations to the local control funding formula. And this may be an opportunity, it's an area to watch that may increase funding in the future. So next steps in the state budget process, as I just shared, the legislature is going to evaluate the governor's budget proposals. This is dependent on the newly released trailer bill language, so we're diving into that. There's debate of the under appropriation of the Prop 98 guarantee. There's also flexibility in the one-time funding. We might see some variability there, and how that is tension with ongoing priorities. And just bringing us back to our financial reporting life cycle. We'll be back before you, March 4th with the second interim. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yang, are there any blue cards on this item?
Board President, there's no blue card on this item.
All right, then we will move straight to board questions and comments. So I will start with Ms. Davis.
I appreciate the information and keeping us updated on this, and look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yang.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. The slide regarding to the risk to Prop 98 regarding the LA County wildfire. Can you kind of go into detail about that a little bit more?
Yes. So LA County, because of the fires, they were given some reprieve from both the federal and state filing of taxes until the fall. And I don't know if you recall, a few years ago that happened for our entire tax base, and it created a lot of volatility for what was being proposed and estimated for the year's budget upcoming. And so because LA County represents such a large portion of our tax base, there are provisions within statute that say if the Franchise Tax Board and there's enough information where we achieve responses from over 50% of our tax base, they could certify the revenues, and that's that call out in that center black box of the slide. If they get 50% representation of incoming revenue, they could certify next year's revenues, but because that 25% volatility, that's not to say that people won't still file their taxes, but they do have an extension to the fall. So based on that, that's too much uncertainty in our proposed revenues. And so a response to that has appeared to be that they've underappropriated the amount in the budget to give some cushion should the revenue not materialize based on their projections.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chin.
I appreciate all of that. The budget is always a very hard thing to make sense of with all the different things that are out there, one time this and all of that, but I appreciate the way you walk through it, and I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Let's go back to Ms. Chin.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
And next up, Ms. Moore.
Thank you. As a follow-up, or I guess we haven't covered, no one asked about this slide, but can we go back to slide number 9? So can you just explain more about the discrepancy in the second column and why that's unconstitutional, please?
We have a constitutional guarantee to education and that's the Proposition 98 guarantee, to fund it at a certain level. And there's complex different tests that they apply to see what that funding level will be. And so the valuation of that funding level is at the 119, I think it's $1 billion currently, or million, I could be wrong. And they're proposing to only appropriate 117 of that. And that defies what's in the Constitution currently. We should be entitled to our full guarantee. And appropriation means that they're releasing it to be able to encumber expenses against it.
Thank you. I just wanted the public to have more information about that so they understood it. And then following up on what Mr. Yang asked on page 11, did you say what would happen if there wasn't that 50% number, the guarantee, so that they can certify that amount?
They wouldn't certify it based off the tax returns, but they would have a budget that had a potential for changes in that revenue into the fall.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that if there was enough variability in the returns, that they could open up another, like what we have amended, like a revised budget where we would bring it back before the board if there's enough variability in the budget. But currently, they would have to, in order to do operations at the state and the local level, they need to adopt and enact a budget as of July 1 so that we can have the authority to issue payroll and pay our expenses. So they're going to go into the year with something. It just won't be certain based on those tax revenues if they don't achieve that level.
I think that's all. I wrote down page 17, so let me just see. Oh, I was wondering when do we usually know if these budget proposals are final, or when will we know more about those?
So in May, we'll receive the May revision, and that's a result of the legislature evaluating the proposal, putting their own adjustments on that. We will lead into our June budget that's recommended to the board for adoption based on the May revision proposals. It's a little more certain at that time, but we don't know for certain until we have an enacted budget from the state in July.
Thank you so much. That was my last question.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I am looking forward to getting more information about this large one-time grant. We have bills to pay, and that seems like a great way. So hopefully, here's hoping. But that is it, and I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. President, can I make one note real quick?
Yes, please.
So I just want to just put it out for everybody. We'll be talking with our associations and families. Is of any budget that I remember, this one has the greatest potential for disparity in what the final budget number is going to be. It could be if things continue in their current vein, we're going to be in pretty good shape. But that could change pretty significantly. Revenues are up, the coal is down, and the fires are a huge issue, especially in a county like LA County.
at the federal level, we don't know the impact of tariffs and those kinds of things on the overall economy. And in California, we rely on revenue, and especially revenue of our highest earners. So it's a really, really interesting time. I just want to make sure we're clear. The discrepancy between what the high end of what this budget could be and the low end of what this budget could be, I don't think I remember ever seeing a larger disparity between those two things. So a lot of work to do. May will be very important. Obviously, by May, we'll have a much better idea of how the economy is continuing to roll forward. So look forward to the work.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Watkins. Next up, we have our 2025-26 open enrollment results. Mr. Schweitzer.
Mari went right to the end for me. How was that? All right. Good evening, Board President Vargas, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. Here this evening to share some information about open enrollment. I'm going to review the open enrollment guidelines that we presented back in December, the timelines, and share the results along with survey data from this year's information. Tonight's an information-only report. We already took action on this back in December for our open enrollment process for this year. So I'd like to open with just a few reminders. Education Code 35160 and Board Policy 5116.1. It gives us guidance to annually identify schools available for open enrollment and to limit open enrollment to schools that have space available based on future student enrollment. This open enrollment agreement applies only to the student making the request. So we do get a lot of sibling requests, and each sibling does need to apply throughout this process. And then once again, once in a school of choice, the student doesn't need to reapply for open enrollment each year for the same school. We'll see some examples of that in a few minutes. Students do need to reapply for open enrollment as they transition from middle to high school. Parents must provide their own transportation once they get to open enrollment for a school of choice. And back in December, once again, we provided guidance from the board to limit no more than 5% of any students leaving a school, and we'll have some examples of that this year as well. So just a reminder on what we approved in December for 25-26, the current status for our schools with the past couple of years of well. Everything is the same except for Harris and Smedberg. They'll both be capped at 50 this year instead of the 100 as we have in years past. And then just very quickly, this was the timeline that we're adhering to. So open enrollment period opened on January 8th and closed on the 17th. We conducted the random selection process on January 21st. Parents are currently being notified and selecting if they want to accept their school by February 11th. And then after that time, the week of February 24th, we'll begin working on wait lists and getting any last remaining parents in based upon availability at the schools. Here are the results for the past several years. This year we had 833 requests. You can see in that top line there, we had 363 at middle school and 475 at the high school. I'll talk just a minute. We had about 200 students who were currently at their school apply to stay at the school. So numbers do include those, and you'll be able to see that here in just a second. All right, so let's focus on middle school for the next couple of minutes. A lot of information on this slide. We'll see a similar slide for high school. Essentially what we're looking at here is these are the results for middle school. Across the top of the slide are each school's capacity, their projected enrollment for next year, the number of requests to and from that site, and then the overall net impact and percentages for the past couple of years. And keep in mind, this would be if all of the students accepted the school to leave, and then those that accepted the school to come in. So let's look at Albiani just for a second, being there on the top row. Their capacity is 1433, with a projected enrollment of 1474. They're closed, so they can't accept any students. There were 9 students from Albiani who were requested to go to another middle school, which leaves them with a net impact of -9 students. So those -9 students represent a negative 0.6 of Albiani's enrollment. So for 24-25, we can see that they're currently at about 1%. So it was probably in that same range of about 10, 11 kids wanting to leave. And then in 23-24, they were negative 0.9. So they've been pretty consistent over the years. They have been closed over the last, pretty much since they've been open, but we generally see about 9-10 kids wanting to leave Albione, so they're pretty consistent. On the report on the number of requests to the school, we can see who are closed, so Albione, Johnson, and Pinkerton, and then the 50 in parentheses for Harris and Smedberg represent that cap. So Harris and Smedberg are capped at 50. So speaking of Harris, you can see that they're capped at 50. They had 138 students request to go in, with 77 requests to go out. If everybody prompted to leave, and then we tried to accept everybody, there would be 61 students wanting to get in, and that would be a wait list of 11. So they currently have a wait list while we're seeing how many students accept to go into Edward Harris. If people don't all accept, that provides more room for students to get in, thus diminishing that wait list. Looking at Rudder, they had 7 requests in with 82 requests out for a total of minus 75 students, which leaves them at a negative 8.1%. So they're capped at the 5%. So we'll have a wait list of students wanting to exit Rudder, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So if everybody, those 7 students all accepted other schools, we would have a wait list for those trying to leave the school. And then Jackman would be very similar. They'll have 3 students on a wait list if everybody accepted. A couple of trends. Kerr, they continue to increase. A slight percent from 2 years ago to last year, and then almost 3% increase this year. So we see more students wanting to go to Kerr. And then Pinkerton had a pretty good drop, but that's due to us closing them this year. So they were taking in about 10% of their students. Generally, that number was about 85 students over the past couple of years. So by closing them, we're going to see that decline, which is natural. So this slide represents a number of students who wanted to transfer into middle schools, and it shows the schools they are coming from. So across the top, we have our receiving schools. Down the left-hand side, we have the sending schools. So we notice that we still have students currently attending a school who applied to remain at that school. So if you look at Harriet Eddy, going down there in the second column, they have 20 students. You can look to the left and see that there are 20 students currently at Eddy who applied to stay at Eddy, and we did the research on that. Most of those students are currently there on open enrollment or a permit, or they were a redirect from Toby Johnson and they're choosing to stay there. So we'll work on that and cleaning that up, that we don't include that data in the future. So let's look at the third column. Let's take a look at Edward Harris going down. We can see we had 138 students at the very bottom who requesting to attend there. 13 students are currently at Eddy. Harris had 21 to stay there. Jackman had 36, and so on. So a second ago, I talked about Rudder. They currently have 58 students who are wanting to attend Edward Harris. We know that there's a wait list at Rudder to leave, but when we look at Rudder specifically, about 25 of those students attend Isabel Jackson, and another 25 attend Anna Kirchgater. So of about 50 of those 58 students, physical proximity, they are much closer to Edward Harris, and it's easier for them to get school. So naturally, we could assume they're applying to go to Harris just for proximity, that they're wanting to go there for that reason. Let's see, slide 9, this is middle school outgoing by grade. So just very quickly, Albione had 8 students in the 7th grade, 1 in the 8th grade for their total of the 9. And we can see at the bottom, 318 students. Majority of our students are in the 7th grade who apply for open enrollment. Similarly, this is incoming students by grade. Once again, we just list the closed schools. So about 316, which is about 87% of our students are in the 7th grade. In years past, we've had requests from the board to show the same reports by ethnicity. So this is middle school report outgoing students by ethnicity. We can use Albione just being first at the top there. They had 9 students apply to go to other schools. 2 were Asian, 3 were Hispanic, 2 were 2 or more, and 2 were white. So you can see the results by school based upon their ethnicity who are wanting to leave those specific schools. Majority of students participating in open enrollment by ethnicity. Looking at the bottom row there, we had 115 Hispanic students, 108 are Asian, 43 white, 37 African American. Those are our larger numbers. And then we have the same report incoming by ethnicity, just which schools, which ethnic groups are wanting to attend based upon this year's information. Now we'll do all of the same reports for high school. So back to our slide that lists their capacity projected enrollments across the top. Very similar on this slide, instead of the 50 in parentheses, we have the 100. So those schools with the 100, Sheldon and Cosumnes Oaks, are capped at 100 students coming in. So looking at Cosumnes Oaks, we see that they're capped at 100. They had 152 requests to go in. They had 41 requests to exit, so that leaves them a net impact of 111, which is about 5%, which has been pretty consistent over the past 3 years there. But they are capped at 100, so we'll have 11 students on the wait list to get into CO this year. A few trends. Elk Grove, they continue to, they went up about 2% this year, so they've been a little up and down by about a dozen or so kiddos each year. So nice to see that they're increasing. And then consistently, Florin and Valley, years past, they were implementing the 5% exit rule, but they haven't done so for several years now. So it's great to see kids getting into the Florin and Valley and staying in those regions. Getting into the same numbers, these are for high school with the receiving school across the top and sending schools on the left side. Number of students wanting to transfer into high schools and the schools they're coming from. As you can see there at the bottom, we had students from Las Flores and Elk Grove Charter participate this year. So we had about 21 students at our alt schools wanting to leave them and come back to the school of choice through open enrollment. And we have similar results for our high school students outgoing by grade. You can see a majority of our students, about 69%, 327 are in the 9th grade. It's obvious that as the students get older, juniors and seniors typically want to stay at the high school they're already at. They've made those relationships, getting ready to graduate, and want to stay there. Then we get into our high school students incoming by grade. We see most students in the 9th grade. And then similarly with our report at the high school level by ethnicities, we can see that about 144 Hispanic students, 93 Asian, 70 white, and 71 African American were our larger groups participating in open enrollment and seeing which schools they are exiting from. And then which schools by ethnicity they're choosing to go to, with the closed schools listed there for us. So we do dedicate a slide for our schools with the 5% exit. I shared earlier that Jackman and Rudder students wanting to leave both exceeded the 5% cap, so we do have a wait list for those. We do have parents calling us. We're answering their questions, asking for patience, waiting to see if everybody accepted. The more students that decline for some reason, that just decreases the wait list, and then we can help them get to their school of choice as well. We're recommending they're making appointments to see the principals of those schools, maybe going and visiting, taking a tour, just learning more about the school to share their concerns, why they're wanting to leave if there are those reasons, and then hopefully the principals can address their concerns and encourage them to stay. So this is our survey data from this year. We had about 738 responses, which gives us about an 89% response rate, so it's increasing, close to 90% parents responding. The top 3 reasons, again, include course or programs not being offered at the school, childcare in proximity for middle school, and then more challenging programs at the requested school, with 118 there. Safety, we had about 67 this year. Last year was 64. Comments from the board included sending out some survey data to those families. So last year we did send out a survey to the 64 families who responded that safety was the reason they wanted to go to another school. We got back 17 responses, so very few, but those responses they ranged from the walking distance to the school being too far, bullying concerns, behaviors on campus. So we did get a little bit of feedback. We'll send out that same survey again to the 67 who chose safety for that reason this year. And then we'll also send out a survey to everybody who chose that first response course or program not offered at the school, just to try to get a feel for what school has a program that they might be interested in and what that program is. Same results with the survey data. We break it down by ethnicity, so you can see all of the survey data results by ethnicity. The top 3 reasons, very consistent with the other reasons, with more challenging childcare or courses or programs not being offered. And then what do we do with all this information? We continue supporting our principals. We're promoting greater regional partnerships, articulation K through 12, encouraging students to remain at their home schools. We're doing great work in regions with equity, the MTSS, AVID, VAPA, music, arts, bands, et cetera. And then all of our pathway and career tech offerings, those are offered at all of our sites, and hope to learn a little bit more through this year's survey with what programs aren't offered at their home site to see what we might be able to do for the future with that. And that concludes our results for this year, and welcome any feedback.
Thank you very much. Mr. Yang, do we have any blue cards for this item?
Board President, there's no blue card on this item.
Thank you very much. Then we'll move to board questions and comments. We'll start on the other end this time. Ms. Moore, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. So you mentioned that in order to accept the invitation, or that they were able to switch schools, that they had to use parent view. Is there any other option for parents if for some reason they're unable to access parent view?
Everything for students in the district is done through parent view. I believe the number was 24 this year. That's been pretty consistent of students who are at private schools or schools outside of the district. If they contact us or their home school, we direct them to come to their home school and register and enroll so that we can communicate with them. We get their address, and then my admin assistant, she directly calls each one of them, walks them through the process, and then once we get their application, she confirms that application was received, and then throughout the process, she communicates with them about next steps. So everything in district is parent view. Anybody out of district, we get notified that and make a personal call to connect with them.
Okay, thanks. The reason I ask that is just because if parent view presents like a language barrier issue or a technology issue, access to technology, I just wouldn't want someone to not be able to have the opportunity. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay. And then I don't believe this was I participated in the last presentation. I don't remember that we offer a second option. If for some reason, if they don't get their first choice, do we offer a second choice, or is that maybe something we can consider because, for those students that didn't get the school that they were hoping to get?
It's not currently offered, but I can explore through our synergy system what those opportunities might be. Right.
Okay. And then I think it's a great idea to, do that survey for the safety, and then also for to explore the programs that they wanted or that they might want, and that, the reasons that they desire to switch schools. And I know we have a lot of great academies and pathways, and so I think that's great that they have the option to switch schools if they want. And then I appreciate that you also mentioned that gives us opportunities to explore offering more of those pathways and academies as when possible at more schools. But anyway, I appreciate the presentation and the data, so thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ballerini.
Okay. I have a quick question about Pinkerton and Albiani. Since they are going to be over capacity, how do we accommodate the students at the school? Do we have to move portables in, or what? How do we do that?
So for the schools that are closed, Pinkerton and Albiani right now is the only one redirecting. So we would go through the redirect process, and we set a cut date, and students specific to Albiani would go to Kerr or Smedberg based upon the attendance area that they live in. So we communicate with them. It all involves when they move into that area and sets their priority date in that area. That's what we base it upon. So students who move in after would be redirected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so redirect them.
We have a process for them. We call it redirects that we go through to identify students and work with the families to make that happen.
I'm just kind of worried about all the fires down in LA, and I was wondering, maybe we'll get some people up here and all of this has already been figured out. I just feel bad for them coming in and, what are they going to do? So anyway, there's that. Let's see. One of the questions, since this year we didn't have a football team at Valley and Florin, we didn't ask that as one of the questions, if maybe the reason the student wanted to switch schools at this point was because of athletics not being offered at the school that they're supposed to go to? Is that something maybe we should think about?
I want to clarify. So the students specific at Valley and Florin were offered at that time because we closed their program. There are CIF guidelines that allow us to have them transfer without penalty.
Right.
There were students at each of those schools that took advantage of that opportunity and have changed schools, and they are given the opportunity to remain at that school, so they would not need to apply for open enrollment.
But maybe future students may be looking and saying, oh, they didn't have football this year, maybe they won't be able to have it next year.
There's potential for that, yes.
That was just something I thought of. One thing that hit me in the middle of all of this is we talked about the pathways and career techs at the high schools, but I know there's Future Quest. Is that what it is called, Future Quest, at some of the middle schools? Is that something we can find out more about too, or do they know that Future Quest is offered at some of these middle schools and not at others?
Yeah, the Paxton-Patterson, which is the program that is kind of a general survey for the CTE courses. It's a variety of modules that students have access to, is offered at all of our middle schools.
So
everybody has that. Yeah.
At what grade level?
8th grade.
8th grade?
And then depending on which modules they take, they would garner interest in a CTE program based upon that.
Perfect. I think that's wonderful. Expose them to all of it so they can make choices, because that's just awesome. All right.
And our students are going through course selection now, so specific for the 8th graders, for students coming in to 9th grade, board member Jean may remember, high school counselors go out and visit with the middle schools, do class presentations and engage them in that process and share all the wonderful things happening at high school.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you very much. Ms. Chen.
Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate the data being provided about breaking down the enrollment rates by ethnicity. It's really interesting to look at. And I was wondering and I also appreciate the further efforts to look into what the reasonings might be for the course and program not offered at the current school, as well as the second one, which was specific safety and security issue. I was just wondering what was the timeline for that and how that would be made out, when it would be made out to the community.
Yeah, once everybody goes through the process this week, for those students who accepted, we actually send it to everybody. So I think for the safety, there was 67, and I forget the number for program, 197. We'll send it to every one of those in the next few days, just to get them thinking about their responses. It's a free response, just asking them to respond to, give us their open-ended response, and we'll take a look at those.
And this might be a separate question too. It goes with what Ms. Ballerini said of the separate options for the course and programs. Is there any knowledge of if students looking to find these programs are made aware of dual enrollment or collaboration with Los Rios Community Colleges as options in addition to that?
Yeah, that would be done through the course selection or through the counseling programs. It's not necessarily done through open enrollment, but we are exploring with our college and career connections. The board has received some amazing videos of the CTE programs that we have offered, and we want to explore what that looks like for making some general videos for each of the schools for next year. So counselors and administration, they can use that as PR as they go out and do recruiting at the middle school levels, just to kind of show a 5-minute video, 10-minute video of what are all the great things happening at the high school, and that would include those kind of opportunities for dual enrollment and partnerships with our junior college CRC predominantly.
Okay, thank you. Just to clarify, thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Yang.
Yeah, thank you, Chad, for the presentation. I just wanted to talk about the career technical education. programs that we offer in every high school. Now, when the kids are attending middle school, do we have any sort of, I guess, early awareness of what high school provide what programs, so that they have an early knowledge of what high school provide what?
Yeah, so in the course selection process are going on right now with the articulation with the middle schools. The high schools do share what all of their programs are when they're enrolling students to take classes for the next year. Generally, the CTE programs begin in 10th grade, so that heavy recruitment starts in the 9th grade with making students aware of those programs that they can enter for the 10 through 12 pathways. But there is that kind of information is shared with our 8th grade students as counselors go out and do those visits with the enrollment options for the students.
So can you give an example how that happened?
Sure. So Cosumnes Oaks comes to mind. Their program is probably one of the pilots, or not a pilot, but a flagship on that, as how they do that. So students actually in the 9th grade go through every one of the CTE courses for tours. They do a lot of hands-on demonstrations with the students, let them make things, for example, to get them engaged in the class and learn what the offerings are of that class, so that they have information when they go through their course selection, kind of that day experience going through and visiting. They get to see and do some hands-on things about what's happening.
So is that all the middle schools, or just certain
their
middle
ninth
school?
grade, their 9th grade students all do that, and then the students at Pinkerton would get that awareness, and then they would get those tours when they go in the next year.
Okay, so clarification. So it happens in high school.
It
like
does, yeah.
Freshman year,
Yeah.
not in middle school.
Right.
Okay. The reason why I brought that up is because I think it's helpful to have middle school students fully aware of the high school that they're going to go to, provide what programs, and in addition to that, what other high school provide what programs, because we have some very fabulous, very great programs that could really get a great kickstart for the students that know exactly what they want to do in the future after high school. But I'm just concerned that we may not do good enough of early education so they are aware of it, especially the English learner and the immigrant community, right? Because at the household, there's not a lot, I mean, I'm assuming, usually at the household of immigrants household, there's not a lot of education background in that household. So there are lack of knowledge of digging it into or talking about these potential programs that could really help their kids preparing themselves for their career. So, for example, like the biomedical programs at Pleasant Grove, right? And then like the program like medical assistants in Valley High. And these are great programs, actually in my field, right? I'm a bioengineer at Kaiser. And the way that we introduce these programs to them and how we introduce for them or to them is very critical, because, I mean, as a I guess, I would say I would say like the first level of those positions, they may not pay that well, but you have so much potential to go into higher level that could be very well paid career as well. And I'm speaking specifically on those two, but it really applies to across the board of those programs, right? I just want to make sure that we do enough education of making sure that our kids and their parents are aware of it, so they take full advantage of it. So that's my thought, because we see that a lot of the students that transfer out are the ones that because the program is not there, or the class is not there in their school, or the sports is not there, so forth, right? So one of the board members mentioned about Valley High that football was canceled, right? The football program was canceled, and we work in the background a little bit about, not a little bit, but extensively regarding that, and I hope that will be implemented again into Valley High School, because there's a lot of kids that missed out this year, right? And that just kind of the add-on to the negativity of kids want to transfer out, right? So we try to prevent that, but sometimes, it's out of our hand. I get that. But anyways, I'm just trying to want to make sure that we do what we can to really be efficient at making sure that our kids and our students and parents are aware, and do what we can to make sure those programs are there in place. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
Well, Ms. Ballerini hit most of mine on the sports, but I did have a question. You did say that if they left on to go to a different school because sports was not available, they're being allowed to stay at that other school for the next 4 years?
Yeah, correct.
How is that going to allow the school that didn't have the program to create a program if we're continually exporting the athletes out and not having new ones come in?
Yeah.
It seems like we're setting those schools up to fail and never have a sports program.
Yeah, both schools are actively hiring coaches now. I'd have to double check on where they are in the process, but they're both planning on hiring football coaches to start programs for next year. So having that in place now so that they can recruit throughout the spring and get kind of back into that process with spring football, summer, and then getting prepared for next fall. So the plan is to offer it at both schools.
But it is going
Yeah.
to create a school that's going to take years to build because you've exported your upperclassmen out.
Yeah, I'd have to double check the numbers. I know I sent the board a BC with the number of students and where they went. I'd be happy to reflect back upon that. I know that was a handful of students that did take advantage of the transfer, predominantly seniors. So hopefully those sophomore and juniors who are rising to the varsity level will be ready to go for next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And have we looked at why so few want to come to Rudder and Florin and so many are leaving? Because I noticed at the numbers, they're closer.
Yeah.
But in those two schools, it's under 10 that want to come in and large numbers that are leaving. Are we looking at why they're wanting to leave? Do we have programs that aren't?
Predominantly through the surveys, majority of the families do select program not offered or the safety reason. So we do gather some information. Last year, we only had about the small number, 17 responses. So hopefully we can get more responses this year. We share that information with principals to help them maintain and keep their students.
Yeah. One of the pieces with Rudder, just as an example, is geography. With where Monterey Trail and Harris are located, there are some kids that actually physically live closer,
right?
And so that's been that is another piece that's in that mix.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. I was really happy to see the Rudder Valley, Florin stabilizing a little bit in terms of, the number of students and not having the issue of, too many trying to leave. So that's a good sign. Particularly Rudder, seeing that trend toward stabilization is good, for a school that, we've been watching for the past couple of years. So that's a really good sign. And, their staff should be congratulated for the hard work that they have done over the past, I think, 4 or 5 years, really just doing incredible work there, and I think that we're starting to see some of the results of that work, and so that's wonderful. Let's see, I feel like I'm my colleague, Ms. Albiani, is not here, so I'm going to channel her a little bit. It's wonderful to see that the top reason is still, the course and program offerings and more challenging instructional programs. Like that's what we want, right? That's what the point of this is to give students those opportunities to find the educational opportunities that speak to them. So seeing that those continue to be the top reasons is incredibly important, and good to see. And the only other thing I will say on that is, we talked about this last year, and it continues to be a slight issue, is just keeping an eye on those safety concerns. The fact that it's still 10 to 15% is still concerning. So, particularly there are, as now that we have the breakdown for specific communities, right, we can look at that and say, okay, there are specific communities for whom this is an issue. And it's not necessarily the ones that you would immediately expect. There are some that you would immediately expect, and there are others where it was a surprise to me. So, let's continue to keep an eye on that, and continue to, as the results of the follow-up survey come in, let's continue to make sure that particularly where there are specific instances, that those get addressed. Because I think that's important. And that is all I have. So, thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. All right, we have one action item tonight. We have a public hearing regarding Government Code Section 4217 for energy service contract for photovoltaic systems for the Grantline 208 Elementary School. Dr. Coates, take it away.
All right. Good evening, President Vargas, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos, staff and public that are watching. First of all, thank you for saying that word so I don't have to. I spelled it out phonetically so I could really get it. Tonight, this is first a public hearing. Title 24 Energy Code does require new construction, and in particular the Grantline 208 elementary school, the installation of solar technology and solar systems. So the district desires to undertake a solar generation project and attain these systems for the Grantline 208 Elementary School. Government Code Section 4217.10 authorizes the district to enter the energy savings contracts and related agreements in order to implement the state's energy efficiency policies. Staff have been working to provide PV equipment and infrastructure for the Grantline 208 Elementary School as a result of recent building code requirements for new projects. That's Title 24. The district proposes to enter into an energy services agreement with SiteLogic Incorporated, under which SiteLogic will deliver and install the PV equipment and provide certain solar generation energy services to the district. After analysis, staff is projecting that the project cost will be approximately $2.4 million, and the cost of the project will be offset by anticipated savings over the period of 19 years. Government Code Section 4217.12 requires the board, before entering the contract, conduct a public hearing and make certain determinations. Notice of the public hearing, so we met all of those requirements at least 2 weeks in advance of the meeting. And then after the public hearing, the staff is recommending approval of resolution number 51 that contains the necessary findings and determinations. So with that, I'm gonna open the public hearing.
Excellent. I'd like to open the public hearing. Mr. Yang, are there any blue cards on this item?
Board President, there is no blue card on this item.
Very much. There being no public comment, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 51, approving an energy service contract for photovoltaic systems for the Grantline 208 Elementary School.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Yang.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Moore. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. All right, our last item of the evening, board and superintendent reports. Mr. Superintendent, anything? Okay, board members, any reports? All right, hearing none, then I will adjourn this meeting at 8:13 p.m.